Travis Wingoodsall, church news time. In case you're new, I do church news. Doctrine and Covenants says to pay attention to what's going on in the world, get involved in the sciences and learn them, astronomy, geology, and all the other physical sciences. Stay away from psychology, stay away from Christian religions that only preach fallacy arguments. So yeah, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is not Joseph Smith's church. Are you that illiterate? Are you that evil? So that when you read 1 Nephi chapter 1 verse 2, you go, Jesus! You become an enemy of mankind. You reveal your hate. And it's not just for Jews. It's for your founder and the keystone scripture. This is the big con, and it's even worse. Our hearts go out to all affected by fires in Southern California. Can anybody tell me what's wrong with that? The church is filthy rich. Beyond what the church has been forced to reveal. Joseph Smith and his economy in the Doctrine and Covenants, following the keystone in 2 Nephi 26, after defining what priestcraft is, saying that's a naughty no-no, which comes from Malachi, which also involves the story of Joseph of Egypt. Storehouses. Joseph Smith set up wards, which he called branches, to contain storehouses for the people in the area. And Brigham Young put a stop to it. And so if the church had been following Joseph Smith, as they claimed to be the successor of, there would have been a whole bunch of bishop storehouses in Southern California and neighboring cities, ward boundaries, stakes, that could assist financially and materially with basic necessities. And yet, the church, their hearts are for the people of Southern California. There are 605 wards in California, all listed alphabetically on the church site. Eureka. My goodness. Let's get a 605 bishop storehouses. Can you imagine? The church would have already have activated them, providing shelter for those who lost their homes, providing food for them for the next several months. We because the government ain't going to respond. They're in transition. But the church doesn't want to create a welfare state. So pay attention to this comment by Mark A. Bragg, North America West Area President of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. If you're brand new, there's a whole bunch of stuff you're missing, because we're not a religion. We're not the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Because you're missing out on a whole bunch of information that the church doesn't want you to know. Shh. They're gonna have to kill you. 1923, November 26th. Articles of Incorporation for the corporation, not the religion. At this time, the church is mobilizing its resources. Cool! Pay attention. Everyone is encouraged to volunteer and make themselves available to assist those in need. Talk about your cheapskates. Talk about your Scrooges. I mean, granted, it's no longer Christmas, so they can go back to being bad. The church isn't even talking about sending the token 2 truckloads. The church is committed to helping. We're committed to thinking about, possibly, maybe, could be helping. We'll let you know. Our hearts are with you. Thoughts and prayers. It really sucks for you, doesn't it? During this emergency and throughout the aftermath. We'll pray for you. Oh, dear God. So there's the Palisades fire, the Hearst fire, the Sunset fire, the Eaton fire, and the one that caught my attention originally, the Brown fire in Riverside County. Well, Riverside, but Riverside County is the whole area there. If I were to zoom in, I would see Corona and Norco. And so yeah, I'm very well familiar with that area, especially. There's where I went to the top of the mountains, literally, not figuratively, for a, inspiring speech, to claim I'm the man like Moses, but demote his authority, like a Christian would do. And then there are some other fires that just aren't named, but yeah. I'm familiar with Torrance. There was a girl I met at EFY who lived in Torrance. She gave me a mighty big teddy bear. And then when I went on my mission, it was gone when I came back. It's like everything of mine got stolen when I went on my mission. That's how it was in my family. I was the oldest, so I was the first one to experience it. Apparently, it's a tradition to steal from your older brothers after they leave on their mission, and to build a swimming pool and a jacuzzi. Hey, Travis is gone. Let's build a pool and a jacuzzi and steal his stuff. God. So Thousand Oaks, familiar with that one. Los Angeles, Ryan Shumway's brother or cousin. Can't Can't remember which. There was a connection, familial connection. He did he was in a band and was playing in Los Angeles, and so a group of us went down there to support Ryan's family member, whatever he was. And then he went and married, what's her name? Good for you. Good for you. And Anaheim, that's where there's Fullerton. I lived in Placentia, right next door. Hey, there's Corona. Chino Hills. You know, had cousins that lived down there. And uncle who decided to freak out during the 80s and turn gay because, you know, he believed that he was born that way, wanting to do household chores belonging to women. So he must be gay. Definitely couldn't have been influenced by psychologists whatsoever. Gave up his Barbie doll wife and his Barbie doll 3 daughters to go be gay. Lake Elsinore, yeah, a lot of memories on the corner of my mind. So yeah, Moreno Valley, been there, done that. Played them in basketball out in Moreno. And then we had I don't think it was Moreno, Hemet. That has a connection to basketball somehow. It's been too long. But yeah, I'm a legend down there in the San Bernardino, San Gorgonio mountain ranges. Just ask the forest rangers. They are required to tell the tale of the lost boy. Sail on to the night, lost in the shadows. I am legend. Church is sitting on multi-trillions, and they won't spend a penny to help the poor and the needy, the sick and the afflicted. No Mormon can claim this church is true, or even that it has good intentions, that their hearts are in the right place, because it's blatantly obvious they're a fraud. And the sad thing is that Mormons get upset when Cora whores like me expose them. Right? Pure. Russian girls' names. Just love listening to them being pronounced. So, talking about terrorism, church still is keeping at the top. They're giving machines. Yeah, you give to the church. And you might not recognize what's going on as you don't watch my videos, especially the one I did several days ago exposing the church's terrorist operation and funding of terrorism. This is one of the funding of terrorism that the church is doing. This was part of the business deal with Saudi Arabia, the ones who finance terrorism of not ISIS. Stop calling it ISIS. It's Islamic State. And the reason why is because Saudi Arabia and Qatar, where the church went last year for a big religious freedom conference, I'm sure there was no business deals transacted whatsoever to fund the terrorist attack last year, or on the 1st, so this year. So the guy who attacked New Orleans had been radicalized by ICE is the Islamic State. And so Fox News is covering this nonstop. The rise of IS during Biden's administration, putting Americans in jeopardy. Well, yeah, that's the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints who funded the whole operation through Saudi Arabia and Qatar, who fund the terrorist group Islamic State. And what is hilarious, if it weren't so tragic, is that Saudi Arabia and Qatar justify funding the terrorist group Islamic State by claiming they're giving humanitarian aid. They're giving donations. And look what the church is doing. Oh my God. The church is funding terrorism, claiming that it's for humanitarian aid. You know, like those Palestinians who refused to leave in advance of the war that their army caused. God. Nobody knows Islamic religion. And so these Western whiteys don't have a bleeping clue that they're getting played as punks. And so the happy woman standing in front of Lady Gadija Trust, she's Islamic. That's not a cultural headdress. That's a religious headdress. And it symbolizes her sexual abuse by her religious leaders. You know, the ones with the armies. It's their missionary service. Convert or die. And we burn your village. And we rape your little girls. She's the first wife of Muhammad. That's what it's named after. And Saudi Arabia is behind it. Remember the little princess who came to visit Nelson twice? Saudi Arabia are the ones who chopped up Jamal Khashoggi. I don't think I pronounced that correctly. The Washington Post journalist. Yeah, he went into the embassy in Turkey, wasn't it? And never came out except in a barrel, all chopped up. You know, by a long Arabian sword. And of course, Trump did nothing about it. He deserved what he got, etc., etc. Because Mohammed bin Salman is Trump's bestest buddy. He's got lots of dollars. Lots of dollars. Which is interesting because Trump is getting played. He pretends to be friends with Netanyahu because of Jared, and yet is making business deals with Mohammed bin Salman, who's involved with the terrorism against the Jews through the Palestinians and ICE, etc., etc. And then don't even get me started on the WWE. It was all fun and games until the New World Order was forced to be branched off to stop the monopoly after having to change the name because the World Wildlife Foundation said, hey, you can't use that acronym. That's ours. I don't see how he could have lost that. It's wrong. Because the WWF, when you attach it with wrestling, not just the logo alone, but to indicate the logo with wrestling, like small print below it or to the side or whatever, World Wrestling Federation, it would have been just fine. And yet, even the World Wildlife Foundation also should have had something like an elephant with the logo or something. And yet, because there's others that have that same pattern matching, and none of them are having issues about suing in court. So many problems in the air tonight. And so, yeah, the church has still got the giving machines, and they're screwing over Saudi Arabia. Don't get me wrong on this one. The church is in charge of how much money was given to the various machines. Saudi Arabia has to trust that whatever money the church gives them is the full amount that was given to that. But of course, the church has maintenance and the other cost expenditures that are needed. Only the terrorist organizations knew that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, aka the corporation, wink wink, were screwing them over. I wonder what terrorists would do to the church if the terrorists knew that the church was screwing them over. But still funding terrorism at the same time. And so, in the United States of America, there's the First Amendment, which says that religion is supposed to be separated from government. It's even in the Articles itself of the Constitution, in which there is to be no religious test for office. No religion in the rules and laws of the United States of America. Right, YouTube? Nevertheless, in the state of Utah, they want a theocracy back. Governor Cox, who got busted for wanting a sanctuary state, and then to cover it up, wanted to fire the ICE director here in Utah. Don't tell other people we told you not to touch the illegals in our state. We're threatening them to become Mormon to give them aid by working for us. Even Islamists who come over to America as sleeper cells work for the church, thus have to be members, and they still wear their Islamic sexual abuse by their religion outfits. It is just hilarious if it wasn't so sad and terrifying. Did you inform the converts that they can no longer be a part of their original religion? Did you? Well, we gave them the pamphlet, Mormons are Muslim. The only difference is that they get 72 child bride virgins when they commit a terrorist act and die as a martyr for Allah, rather than just 10 for Mormons. So yeah, Governor Cox got inaugurated, and the Tabernacle Choir ensued. I'm sure there's no connection whatsoever between Cox's government of Utah and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, aka the corporation. None whatsoever. And so, speaking about abusing children, Elder and Sister Uchtdorf are to address young adults next. Isn't that tender? Indoctrinating children when they're still uneducated. Because I'm sure that turned out just fine in Handmaid's Tale. And so the Andersons are going to be the keynote speakers at Roots Tech this year rather than Oaks. And child slave labor for the church, as primary children are invited. There's that word, invited. I remember as a kid hearing people say invited me to do things, and I knew exactly what I meant. I couldn't say no. I learned to know the code word of invite. To serve other children in 2025. Child slave labor. You have to be a slave to those who are less fortunate than you. Because you're children. And the church has this standing traditional culture. When you're a deacon, that's what you are. You're the grunt work. You're the slave labor. You always get called out to do all the manual hard labor work. That's just the way it is. And I couldn't wait until I could get out of the deacon's quorum and then the teacher's quorum and less with the priest quorum. I was more a free agent then. Oh, dear God. And so here's where psychology abuses Mormons. Addiction recovery program. Name change. All last year, just news story after news story after news story after news story, all last year alone, about the evils and dangers and abuses and crimes of psychology just within the state of Utah. And still, the church, aka the corporation, wink wink, is still pushing psychology of family services. They're just changing the name. To emphasize healing begins with Jesus. Yeah, wow. Woo-saw. Group of guys hugging and crying. That's some messed up bleep. You're angry. I'm not angry. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. I'm getting angry when you say I'm getting angry. Bad boy. bad boys, what you gonna do? You also need to understand Utah history on this, because there was what was once called Valley Mental Health. And in 2014, they changed their name. And a number of employees were pissed and left. Because they changed the name to Valley Behavioral Health. And we're now taking in criminals. Because all criminals are mentally retarded. And they brainwash the government to give them power. Oh, that is hilarious. And so, yeah, the healing power of Jesus when you go and confess to your bishop that you were raped by your married priesthood leader, the bishop picks up the red phone to family services. Send her right over. Oh my God. We're gonna get you the help you deserve, sister. Handmaid's Tale. The scriptwriter has no clue about the church. No clue. No clue. You guys do know about LGBTQIAPO+ and conversion therapy that just ended in 2021. Church is going to bring it back. Zzz. Zzz. Healing power of Jesus. Zzz. This is why Mormon women are the highest per capita in the universe here in Utah who take depression drugs. It's the abuse of psychology mixed with religion. The only two fields that are not science-based. Well, of course, there's also astrotheology and other crap, astrology stuff. But at least in Oregon, or was it Washington? I think it's Oregon. They're illegal. That is just hilarious. They're changing the name. No, we're not a treatment center. No, 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 no. Nope, we're not a pyramid scheme. No, 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 no. Nope, we're no longer a multi-level marketing scheme either. No, nope, no, we're nope, it's Ponzi now. No, it's missionary service. It's not a pyramid scheme. No. How could you say that? The name is different. It's like the name of the church. It says Jesus. Hello. Duh. I didn't quite go along with that, as my missionary companions were. Dear God. And then finally, to cap it off with a spoiled rotten cherry on top, level up your scripture study in 2025. I've already been doing the videos. They've been stalking me. And yet, Here's another con. You're not leveling up your scripture study. You don't even study scriptures in this church. To study the scriptures is to know the ancient culture behind the passage of scripture. If only they were literal history in the first place. You need to know Greek to correct the errors in translation. You need to know biblical Hebrew to know that it needs Paleo-Hebrew to correct the biblical Hebrew to correct the King James Version English. And it would sure help if you knew Egyptian. They will not teach you any of that. They don't want to. We've gone over this with you several times already now, because this is the DNC year. And it's not that female operation. They have certain passages that they go over and skip everything about our Christ. Yeah, you're way behind if you're still listening and you're new. I notice I'm not being cyber terrorized yet. Strange. And then they pick out of context a scripture passage, which is a precept, and instead of discussing it as to what it actually says, the instructors are supposed to have you misinterpret it and learn how to feel good about it to apply it in your daily life. Case in point, Alma chapter 32, starting in verse 28. We will liken the word unto a seed. And so when you get that spiritual prompting, that is the fruit. Wrong. Alrighty, church news. We're all gonna die. So, the 21st is the first wave when Trump will retaliate against Utah for being a sanctuary state. Temple Square destroyed. The church prophets flee, according to the prophecy of Joseph Smith in section 101, verse 51. And 19 July 1840 in the Joseph Smith Papers, because Brigham Young didn't want to publish it because Joseph Smith prophesied that Brigham Young would murder him. Is it I, or is it I? From Mark 14, the last day's supper. How did Joseph know? Just amazing. Alrighty. Prepare to die.